everybody, how you doing? My name's Dave, and if you've got a million controllers, you can call me Daveypoo, the mobile music minstrel. How you doing? Today, I'm gonna show you how I set up all of my MIDI controllers in apeMatrix. So, I'm gonna try to keep this as concise as possible, which is not my strong suit, so stick with me, and hopefully we'll make it happen. Alright, here you can see on the screen I've got apeMatrix going on, and I've got this top-down camera showing you what I've got on the desk. Now, a couple of things. First of all, I'm new to the whole top-down camera thing, so bear with me if it kind of sucks. Sorry, I'm working on it. Secondly, I know it's a rat's nest of wires over here. It's just kind of how my studio is. If you don't like it, sorry, deal with it. It's my studio, not yours. It's just the way I have it. Thirdly, all right. Here on the screen, you can see, if we want to go down the left-hand side here, I'll tell you what I got. First, I've got my UMC 404 HD. It's my new Behringer audio interface for the iPad. It's got audio ins, it's got MIDI ins and outs, it's got audio outs for multiple monitors. It's fantastic. I'll throw a little picture of it up in here, and you guys check it out. I highly recommend it. So far, so good. Haven't had any issues with it. It's amazing. So, for the input here, now we're going to talk about audio and then we're going to talk about MIDI separately. With the UMC 404, I'm taking a USB out of the back of it and running it into a USB hub to come into the iPad. The USB out shows 4 different audio inputs, either in 2 ways, as 2 groups of 2 stereo channels. So you've got left and right, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So you can have 2 stereo pairs, or you can have 4 individual mono tracks. So I've got input 1 selected. Input 1 is this keyboard here, my top Macmillan bot pad, and it is controlling the Behringer Model D that you can't see on screen because I got it stuck away. Now, this Keith Macmillan bot pad is running into the MIDI in on the back of the audio interface. And the MIDI out of the audio interface is running to the Behringer. So I've had to tell the interface to route its MIDI in back to its own MIDI out. And here's how I did that. I had to use MIDI flow. Now, I'll explain all of this in a second. Just bear with me. Channel 1 here all the way on the left-hand side. You see UMC 404 HD coming in and going back out. All that's doing is it's taking the MIDI in from the interface and routing it back to the MIDI out of the same interface so that this controller can be plugged into the interface rather than the hardware directly. That way, this controller is going to show up to both the iPad as an option to control software stuff on the iPad, but it'll also be able to route out to control the Behringer. Okay, going back to apeMatrix quickly. So that's how I got the audio in for the Behringer. Now, one other trick to know about apeMatrix. apeMatrix only allows you to select a single external audio source per per matrix. So I have 4 inputs. I could have input 1 on matrix 1, input 2 on matrix 2, and input 3 on matrix 3, but I don't have an option for a 4th external audio input. Alessandro, I would love to see an option where you hit one of these plus signs and it pops up not only AUV3s and interrupt audio that you can add in there, but I would love to see a port for external audio also, so you could have multiple external audio ins on any matrix. That would be great. So if you're watching this, Mr. Petrolati, that would be fantastic addition. Okay, so that's how I've got my audio in. Now, just as a quick aside, if I switch to matrix 2, you can see that I have my microphone hooked up so I can go straight in and do microphone-y things. All right, we'll put that aside for now. So you can see here that I have selected the input 2 because that's where this microphone is coming into input 2. And I have to have it on a separate matrix to have it come in. Now, let's go back. Next down, I have BeatHawk. BeatHawk is being controlled by the Nano Pad 2 that's right here. I'm sorry, I lied. That's RuseMaker. BeatHawk is being controlled by the Bot Pad. That's right here. Hopefully you can see that on camera. Okay? So I've got the Bot Pad being controlled by I'm sorry, if the bot pad is controlling beat hawk. So there's a lot of things going on here. Bear with me if I stumble a bit. The bot pad is controlling beat hawk. Right underneath that is Neo Soul keys, and I'm controlling that with my other keyboard here. Okay. Then underneath that, I've got Galileo organ being controlled by the Arteria Mini Lab. And then lastly, I have the NanoPad 2 controlling Rusemaker. Then as a special edition, I have my Nano Control faders here that I'm going to show you how to set those up as well. Okay. Let's talk quickly about MIDI interfaces, or MIDI controllers. Some MIDI controllers can specify the MIDI channel which they send information out on, such as the Arteria Mini Lab here. I can set the MIDI channel 1 through 16 right from the device. Other controllers, like the Keith McMillan keyboards and the bot pad, they only send to every MIDI channel at the same time. It's called Omni. So they just are spraying the world with internet or with MIDI information, just okay, on every single channel. I had to figure out a way to filter the incoming MIDI messages from these controllers so that it only sent it to apeMatrix on specific channels. apeMatrix currently does not, or at least I couldn't figure out a way to map a specific MIDI controller to a specific app in apeMatrix. Alessandro, my last note is that would be awesome too. If you could find a way to implement mapping, like I want to choose my NanoPad to control Neo Soul keys, and so I just go in there and I just pick Neo Soul keys and pick bot pad or NanoPad, and it just links the two, and I don't have to worry about routing via MIDI channels. That would be a great addition if you're listening. Okay, but here's how I accomplished it for those of you who aren't the dev. I used MIDI flow. So I go out here, I go to here. So the first, on the left-hand side, you see that's for the Behringer to get the MIDI from this keyboard back out to the Behringer, the hardware unit. Here, next to that, you can see bot pad. So I've got the signal coming in from the bot pad. I'm filtering it so it's only sending out MIDI channel 2. And the same thing is here. Next to that is the keyboard. This keyboard's only sending out MIDI channel 3. The NanoPad is only sending out MIDI channel 4. Okay. I have selected channel 5 on the Mini Lab here by doing it on board the controller, since that has the ability to choose it from the controller itself. Okay, so if I go back here now that I've used MIDI flow to assign what MIDI channel is being sent from each of these controllers, now I have to choose where those controllers or what those controllers are controlling. So if I go to the MIDI menu here, these little funnels down at the bottom help me select MIDI channels. So if I go to the Beat Hawk one, you can see I've selected channel 2, which is what the bot pad is sending on. If I selected channel 3, now I'm getting both the Neo Soul keys and Beat Hawk because it's sending information on channel 3. So we'll go back here. Now it's just Neo Soul keys, bot pad. Okay, and I just did the same thing for each of these. Neo Soul keys receiving on channel 3, Galileo receiving on channel 5, Rusemaker receiving on channel 4. So I've got all these things live now, and I can jam out if I were talented enough. Terrible, but hey, what are you going to do? Okay. The trickiest one to set up was the Nano Control to control the faders. Now I'm going to show you. If you go to the mixer here, I've got these things mapped so that I can change the levels on the fly. The mute buttons are mapped. The solo is mapped. Okay, panning is mapped. Okay, so I can really go nuts. Now, I know you can hear the drawbars changing on the Galileo when I move one of the controls on Nano Control. I had previously set up a MIDI map for Galileo for Nano Control to be the drawbars and do some of the other settings. I haven't fully created a new MIDI map on Galileo to not have it do that. So some of these controls here, on the Nano controller still mapped to Galileo. Be a little forgiving, it took me a while to set this up anyway, so I haven't fully disconnected the Nano control from sending messages to a Galileo, but we'll get there. Anyway, let's get back on topic here. So you can see that I've got these things mapped so that they control the settings in apeMatrix. So here's how I did that. If you go to the side menu over here and you click on control, well, let's do this first. We'll click on MIDI in. This shows us all of the MIDI devices coming in. And you can see I've selected everything except for the UMC 404 HD. Here's why. I want this top keyboard to control only the external synth. I don't want it to accidentally be sending MIDI signal to any software synths I'm running in apeMatrix. So I've straight up disconnected it so that there's no confusing MIDI messages being sent. The nice thing about having the MIDI ins on the Behringer interface is that I could plug in an external keyboard into the interface and then I can map it anywhere I want inside the iPad. But for right now, it's disconnected so that I don't hit a key here for the Behringer synth and all of a sudden the Neosoul keys fires or the Galileo triggers or something like that. So everything else I have connected here. If I go back to the side menu and I go over to control, this is where you see all of the internal apeMatrix MIDI control settings. So all I did was I went down to Matrix 1 RAU output. That's the channel level. Now, normally when you get this message in our past videos, we've talked about going here and setting an LFO, an internal LFO, and I can still do that. You can see here, if I just keep tapping the bot pad, I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3. You can hear the volume level changing. Let me do a tat, 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 tat. Because it's going back and forth with the LFO. If I go to the MIDI DIN connector icon here, all I have to do is move the fader and it'll map it. Done. And then I set the range so that the full throw of the fader matches the full throw of the level here inside apeMatrix, and then we're done. Now if I go back, you can see if I pull up the mixer, there, beat maker. So now I can play. Okay, I can control it from here, as I can control the pan also. Okay. And I've subsequently done the same for the rest. Here's, level 2, level 3, level 4. You go to the pans, it's the same thing. I have to deselect it and reselect it to clear it out. So I deselected it, I reselected it. Now I'm doing the pan for 1. If I just twiddle it, it learns it, and then I just make sure I set the range to be the full range of the sweep of the knob. And then we're done. Same thing with the mutes and the solos. You go here. Again, I'm deselecting it to clear it and reselecting it so that I can show you how to map it. And I just hit the mute button. Boom. Done. Okay? And that's it. So now I can jam out. Okay? Let's do this. We'll go. Whatever. I'm not good at playing multiple instruments at the same time, so I'll leave the playing of it to somebody else. But now you know how to get everything routed in apeMatrix and have multiple controllers controlling what's going on here. I've got the bot pad, I've got 2 keyboards, I've got a nano control, I've got a nano pad, and I've got a mini lab, all controlling different things in apeMix. So, if you liked the video, give me a thumbs up, tell me I'm your best buddy, ask me for favors, but don't ask me for money, because I don't have any. I hope you guys dug it. Subscribe to the channel if you like it. Feel free to ask questions below. I got more videos coming for you. I hope you guys all had a great holiday season. I'm looking forward to a great 2019. This week, the NAMM show is going on, so I'm really nerding out over all the news. I'm really excited for all the stuff coming out, but got more videos coming for you soon, and I will see you guys next time. Adios, muchachos. Later.